we have the honor of hosting Special Chief Secretary Jayesh Ranjan. As you all know, he has been instrumental in bringing investments to the state for a long time now, in the previous government as well as in the new government. And his responsibilities have increased over time. He has recently been made CEO of Investment and Industries and Investment Cell in the CMO. He is also in charge of tourism, and he is also in charge of speed, which is a new initiative to fast track investments. Sir, thank you so much for coming and
Welcome.
So we'll start the discussion with what's happening right now across the board, and right now what's happening in Telangana. We are hosting this world meeting. Now you are in charge of it. We have dignitaries, so many from different countries, many countries, in fact over 100. So how is the security arrangement? How are the security arrangements? And have you changed the plans according to what is happening right now?
Yeah, certainly. So first of all, thank you very much for having me here. The New Indian Express has been consistently writing about the Miss World event and giving a very good coverage. So glad to meet all of you face to face. So for sure, the situation has changed dramatically, particularly since yesterday after this Operation Sindoor
Yes.
strikes have started. But at the same time, when in the last, after Pahalgam, we knew, everyone had an anticipation that there will be some kind of a counter strike, there will be some kind of a retaliation from both the sides. So we were aware about it, and then the detailed planning exercise for this event has begun. All these things were known. So the timing of Sindoor, no one could have predicted. It happened all of a sudden yesterday. But see, there are two views to it. One, of course, the security analysis has changed. So Ministry of Home Affairs itself has identified that in the country there are 22 locations where, because of the nature of that region or that city, there will be some the tensions will be definitely very high, and therefore the governments there, the state government, the local government, police in particular, has to be absolutely on high alert. So some of these new inputs that have come to, they have all been factored in our preparatory work. But I have mentioned this on so many other occasions also, that Telangana police enjoys a very stellar reputation. People have seen unbelievable things being accomplished by Telangana police. Their usage of technology, the access to tools, etc., I believe is unparalleled in the country. And from the DGP downwards till the last person who is involved in this Miss World pageant, all of them have this understanding, these inputs. Their planning possibly has gone much more detailed. Till 2 days ago, I had attended a briefing in which they had explained to the Chief Minister about the security arrangements and all, and everything was looking very nice and detailed and meticulous. Based on yesterday's developments, I'm sure they would have upgraded it. I'm still not aware, but I have complete confidence on Telangana police.
Sir, one more thing, coming to your earlier portfolio, and even now currently you are the CEO of Industries and Investments. We have been watching you, and we have been seeing you for the last 10 years, more than 10 years now. What goes into striking a rapport, going around, and bringing in investments? How do you convince? Can you cite some anecdote in the recent past or in your experience?
So
Because there's a race amongst yours.
I'll give you a very good recent example, but I'll explain the fundamental principle in the beginning itself, and then the example will kind of elaborate on what I'm trying to tell. So in my 12 years of experience of working with investors, trying to convince the domestic ones, global ones to look at Telangana, I have noticed one very strong factor which plays on the minds of the potential investors. See, for good or bad reasons, one impression which has gone about India everywhere, both domestic investors and international investors, is that there is a huge gap between what is promised and what is delivered. So This is a very common criticism about India, and many of the top global CEOs have also told this, that everything looks great on paper. Everything is worded very nicely. It looks very fine when people speak about it. It sounds very convincing, but on ground delivery is very, very poor. There's a huge gap between what is promised and what is delivered. So my effort in the last 12 years was to narrow that gap as much as possible, to ensure that whatever is delivered is to ensure that whatever is promised not only is 100% delivered, sometimes it is delivered beyond their expectations also. And that is the reputation we have genuinely built. If you ask people anywhere also who have actually chosen to come to Telangana vis-a-vis other states, and if you ask them what mattered eventually the most, they will say this only, that we found the government to be genuinely responsive. And we make it a point. I have trained my team to ensure that no one needs to meet anyone, no one needs to come anyone. We should respond to text messages, we should respond to emails, and there should be some internal benchmark. Responding does not mean that I just acknowledge that I got your message, I'll think about it, bring it into action, deliver it as early as possible. And this has worked very well for us. And now I will give you the example. The example is of a company called Lenskart. See, all of us know.
Yes.
It's a very large company. In fact, there is a store right outside. They have currently a huge market share of all the glasses, lenses, etc. So they manufacture these lenses also. Many of the companies, they only manufacture frames, or sometimes they don't even manufacture that. It is all outsourced, like Titan and all that. So these people, or Reliance for that matter, but these people make their own glasses as well. So they have one factory in the north, somewhere in Rajasthan, a mid-scale factory. It's not a very huge factory, but since their market has grown so much, and south is a huge market, and they're finding it very difficult to supply it from Rajasthan. So it is a startup. Lenskart is a startup, and there is lots of VC funding which has gone into it. And as everyone knows, most of the VCs are headquartered in Bangalore, and some of the important VC leaders are also on the board of this company. So since they are more familiar with Bangalore, they have kind of suggested to them that if you are trying to bring something in the south, do it in Bangalore and talk to Karnataka government officials and all that. So at the end of it, the Karnataka government gave them a very good deal. They were given some land very close to the Bangalore airport and some facilitation to get their stuff easily into the manufacturing facility, good incentives. All those things were happened. But at some level, they were not able to strike that rapport with the Bangalore government officials or ministers, whoever they met. I mean, they could see that while on the paper everything is looking good, but the sincerity to deliver is not really becoming evident. And then someone told them about Telangana. In fact, he's also a startup founder from Telangana, but he also operates out of Bangalore. So startup founders keep meeting each other. So in some conversation, he must have realized that they are looking to set up a manufacturing. They are more or less settled for Bangalore, but still there is a small window of opportunity to explore something else. So he told me that he did not tell them that look at Telangana. He told me that there is some small window. Would you like to speak to the founder? And I took the phone number. Then I messaged the founder that I'm representing Telangana government. I would like to learn more about your project, and I would also like to share with you what Telangana has to offer. So then he called back after some hours, and I explained whatever I could over the phone. But I told him that more than phone calls and all, if you can send someone to Hyderabad, we'll be happy to show the locations. We'll be happy to explain how the whole process will work, and we'll be very happy to give you some timelines also about how things will roll out. So he told that some senior leadership is available. They can come day after tomorrow. I mean, he was not expecting that at such a short notice we'll be able to organize the program. But he instantly said, fine, please come. And those people came, they saw the location, they liked the location. They also told that in Bangalore we are not able to clinch this one issue about because some of the stuff that we get are imported. So will there be a dedicated channel, cargo channel to get our stuff? So because I have worked in the airport board for a very long time, the Hyderabad airport board, I was able to talk to the CEO and others and give them that assurance, etc. And within a very short period of time, they were able to completely get convinced about Telangana and this project, which was committed for Bangalore. In fact, some of the newspapers in Bangalore had even carried this news that Lenskart is going to invest here. They shifted that project completely, lock, stock, and barrel. And when they came to Telangana, when the discussion had initially started, the scale of the project was at one level. It was still a very large project. But when we interacted with them, they saw the location, they saw the way we are supporting them, etc. They have now almost, I won't say doubled, but almost 50-60% scale has gone up to that project. So eventually the sum and substance is that if you give that confidence, that see the difference between states is not much. Every state offers industrial land. We also offer, all the other states are also offering. Every state has some kind of a skilling program. They have ITIs, they have other kind of skilling programs where manpower is made available to the companies. Each government offers incentives, and there is a limit to offering incentives. Generally, there is a gentleman's agreement that you have to give the incentives in this range, and we stick to it. Every state now has a single window system for approvals, clearances. Of course, we were the first one to start. So in each of the parameters, there is a little bit here and there. So on some parameter, Tamil Nadu may be better, on some Telangana may be better, some Andhra may be better. And if you see the totality of the package, some state may score over others. But these are some of the intangibles. That are you getting that sense of respect, that the government respects you, they're keen to get you here, they're going to roll out the red carpet for you all throughout. So some of it you can't really put on paper. Some of it is, intangible. But I have seen in the last 12 years that these things clinch the matter.
So if I may ask, there are reports of Apple shifting its manufacturing place from China to India. We already have it
Yeah.
So can you update, is there any update on the Apple manufacturing? Like when you are in talks with them? And also about Tesla. Tesla, we don't know, it's too early to say. It is Apple expanding their base here.
So Apple's Apple's manufacturing here has started. They're manufacturing iPods through Foxconn, and the experience that they have gained here has been very, very positive. In fact, very recently, they have taken another 60 acres of land from us in the same vicinity to add more production lines. So definitely, as compared to other Apple locations, Apple has other vendors also. We are only in touch with one vendor called Foxconn, but it has other vendors also like Winstron, Pegatron, and all that. So, but Foxconn is the largest vendor. So Foxconn's experience, Foxconn has other manufacturing facilities also. There is one facility in Sri Perambur, which is the oldest one. One is in the state of Andhra Pradesh. We are the third facility. And what we have been told is that the experience that they had in Telangana is far superior than what they had. Of course, Sri Perambur is very, very old. Few decades earlier they started. Sri City is also not very recent, but so
Foxconn and Sri City assembles a TV or some other shop or something like that.
yeah. So Foxconn has other OEM contracts also. Apple is one of them, but very premier one. So because the experience is positive here, they are now shifting some of their lines from other states to Telangana. So that is one. Now, Apple has announced that they will do more manufacturing in India, more sourcing from India. We do not know what is the vendor mix at their level. We are in touch with Apple directly also, but how much of that expansion will come through Foxconn, how much will go to Winstron, how much will go to Pegatron. All these things are not yet. I'm not sure if it is decided, and even if it is decided, it has not yet been shared with governments or outsiders, etc. So we need to see. if more and more manufacturing goes to Foxconn, we stand a very good chance that much of it will come to Telangana. If it goes to other players are in different locations. So Winston is in Bangalore, Pegatron is in Chennai, and whether they will be willing, do they have excess capacity? Can they accommodate more Apple manufacturing in Chennai and Bangalore, or are they maxing out, or is there some issue there which is not conducive for them? They're okay to shift. So it's all a very strategic kind of issue. One needs to get lots of inputs, lots of information, and plan about all these things carefully. But I'm sure that we will offer a very competitive scenario to both Apple and whichever vendor it decides to go with.
One more question from me, then all of you can ask. So now we are in charge of industries also. We are in charge of industries also.
Yeah.
Now America has announced the tariffs. Now some agreements are going on, some negotiations are going on. Then we see it. But how is it going to impact that?
No. So when we were in Japan few weeks ago, the tariffs were already announced, and India is at a huge advantage today. See, China will be impacted badly is known from the beginning. The day President Trump assumed office, it was known that he will be very harsh with China, and we have seen this also. Now the tariff ranges are in some 200%, 240% and all. So China will be very badly hit. So many companies have decided to either those where the American imports are very high from China, they have decided to completely de-risk this scenario. And some of those where the American imports are not very high, they will continue China, but they will develop other locations also. So China will be for non-US, and some other location will be for US, etc. So these are the things which most of the companies are thinking about. So the China plus one, or China stroke something else in this strategy. So far, 7 Asian countries were having lots of demand, and 2 companies in Latin America. Mexico is one of them, and a few companies in Eastern Europe like Poland and Romania and all that. But our competition more directly is with these Asian companies. So Asian companies are Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, and Bangladesh to some extent. And we have seen now that as in a relative way, I mean, there is some tariff on India as well, but the tariff on other countries is much more than India. So we were in Japan, and we found that many Japanese companies actually have gone to Vietnam. They have started their second facility in Vietnam, and they were very worried actually. And in various meetings, our chief minister explained about this fact that from a tariff point of view, India is better off than others, and very serious interest was shown. See, typically Japanese are slow to respond. They take their own time in studying, due diligence. They take inputs from multiple sources. It takes years for them to respond. And I have been going there since the last 1 decade and meeting them regularly. But we were not able to achieve any big breakthrough, despite the fact that I've been there 2-3 times before. But this time when we went, because of the circumstances and because obviously the chief minister is a very credible person, when he speaks, when he assures that the government will take care of everything, the sense of confidence is far more. But the response was much positive. Earlier, we would be told that fine, just give us a copy of the presentation, we will review it, we will get back. But now, I could see from their body language that there is a sense of urgency in them also. That traditional, slow Japanese way of thinking, I could notice that there is a shift. So instead of saying that leave a presentation, this time they were actually 2 steps ahead. That okay, will you be available in June? Suppose I want to send a delegation, will you be available for having meetings? Earlier, this step that I'll come to you to see you will happen easily after 1 year or 1.5 years of thinking, deliberations and all that. But now, in the first meeting itself, they are telling, give us time, we would like to come, we would like to see. So obviously, India is at a great advantage today as compared to other countries.
So, in terms of Miss World, sir, tourism has been on the map for a long time now, and there are a lot of heritage sites that are being showcased to the contestants.
Yeah.
Tell us about the arrangements and the security safety measures.
So this is again something very special about this year's Miss World. Normally, if you see 71 editions have already taken place. They typically happen in one city. That too in a closed auditorium. There is not too much of public kind of engagement. Of course, the finale is a big event which is telecast to millions of people in the country. But other than the finale, the rest of it is a insider kind of a thing. No one gets to know what is happening, what competitions, who is participating. For the first time ever, because they found the government to be very supportive to their activities. For the first time ever, they are doing a 21 days event. And if you add the preparatory phase, for example, event actually gets inaugurated on the 10th, but contestants have started coming from the 5th. Yesterday we had a press kind of a curtain raiser event and so on and so forth. This almost becomes like a 25 days event. So never in the history of Miss World event have they stretched the program to such a long period. And more than that, the other special thing about this year's event is that it is not confined to Hyderabad only. Hyderabad is hosting the majority of events, but many events are happening outside Hyderabad. In some cases, participants are even traveling 200 kilometers to reach some place. And basically, the choice of places that we have made to take the participants is to show the richness and diversity of tourism possibilities in Telangana. So, heritage is our strong point. We had the very famous Kakatiya dynasty in North Telangana, in Warangal, Karimnagar. We had Qutub Shahis and Asaf Jais in and around Hyderabad. So, how do you showcase the rich heritage, the monuments, the architecture of those periods? So, we have chosen some locations. In Hyderabad, for example, they are visiting the Char Minar, so they will see the Qutub Shahi styles. Then they will see the Chaw Mahalla Palace. That is an Asaf Jai monument, and it's a lovely palace. Similarly, in Warangal, they are visiting Ramappa Temple. They are seeing the Vai Stambal Gudi, the Thousand Pillars Temple. These are the best Kakatiya art forms, architecture forms, monuments. Telangana also has rich forests, nature, wildlife. So some of that exposure is also given. They are going to Pillalamari, where they will see a huge natural wonder. Similarly, Telangana, like a few other states in the country, has a very rich tradition of handlooms, textiles, handicrafts. Pochampalli, as we all know, is a very unique center for ikat style of weaving. And for generations, weavers are there weaving some very fancy kind of things. They are going to Pochampalli. They are going to Shilparamam because crafts are all over the state. Difficult to take them everywhere. But Shilparamam is a crafts village, so they are coming to Shilparamam. And they will see what kind of crafts are important in Telangana. The craftspersons, the artisans actually will be personally present and they will show that. In India, so these are of course important tourism destinations from both international and domestic point of view. But domestic tourism in India, as most of us know, is also driven by pilgrimage. I mean, temple tourism, as it is called. And we all know that in the combined state, we had a big advantage of Tirumala temple, which obviously is not with us anymore. But as all of us would know, our government is also trying to elevate Yadadagiri Gutta to that stature, and the temple works have been done. Lots of amenities have been created, and lots of people tell that it's a very important temple in terms of the divine connection, etc. The kind of divinity you observe when you go to a Tirumala or some other places. Many people who have gone there have given this feedback that I see a very strong sense of divinity, calmness, etc., etc. So this can become a major domestic tourism attraction, particularly people who are focused on pilgrimages. So participants are going there. Then one very important aspect, this is a modern face of tourism. One is called MICE tourism. So conventions, exhibitions, conferences. As we know, because of the infrastructure that we have, Hyderabad hosts lots of conventions and conferences. And people who come here, normally all of us go to so many conferences. The interest is just to attend the conference. If you're a speaker, finish your speech, talk to some people, and get back as early as possible. But a new dimension has been added, which is called MICE tourism. You go for your conference, you finish your speech and all, but spend some time to explore also. So that is one modern phenomena. Another phenomena which is becoming more and more important is medical tourism. Lots of people are coming to India for their healthcare needs, and Hyderabad is a place where lots of patients come because the healthcare facilities are pretty superior here. But again, how do you motivate them after their treatment is over? Or sometimes they come with some attendants. They can't come, obviously, a patient can't come alone. So, can the attendant at least go around, explore the place, visit some tourism sites? So, these are some of the things which are also an important part of modern era tourism. So, participants are actually being taken to a hospital. They'll be visiting our exhibition center, convention center, so that they understand that Hyderabad also has various elements of modern era tourism also. Then one very important factor underlying all these things, whatever is your interest in tourism, is it heritage, is it monuments, nature, cuisine, crafts, textiles, whatever it is, the uppermost thing in the minds of every tourist is that everything should be safe, secure. We should not have any unpleasant experience. And as you know, we do hear off and on in Goa or here or Karnataka, some very bad incidents have been reported from Karnataka in the last, I would say, 1 month or 2 months. We keep hearing some things from Goa. So, unfortunately, all these give a bad impression about India as a country. See, people don't know that Goa is different, Karnataka is different, Telangana is different. But if some incident happens somewhere, there's a belief that India is not a safe place to visit. So, as a state which is not in the forefront of tourism, the forefront of the face of Indian tourism is still Taj Mahal and palaces in Rajasthan and maybe sometimes Kerala and Goa beaches to some extent. But beyond that, there's very limited understanding about India. So if a new destination or a new region is trying to push itself, it has to give, first of all, utmost assurance that everything is better, everything is safe, everything is organized. Tourists will not be harassed here, tourists will not face inconvenience. All these things are very, very important. So it is also very important that through these participants, the whole world knows what kind of safety infrastructure we have. So all the participants are also going to the police command and control center, where they will see for themselves how the whole state is monitored, what kind of technologies are used, what kind of analytics are there, and then other features like she teams and all that. So typically, it's a very unfortunate and shameful thing. But women tourists are targeted much more or harassed much more. So how is it controlled in Telangana? It is very important to give a very strong presentation about all that. So that is happening. So the sum and substance of this long answer is that we are trying to maximize every opportunity to showcase the strength of Telangana in promoting tourism.
So in this context, the opposition has been repeatedly leveling an allegation about the expenditure that is being incurred by the government to host this event, and are asking why now, why this event when the state has so many other issues to attend.
So there are two parts to this answer. So one is that I can share the actual numbers with all of you. We are spending the whole cost of putting together this event is 54 crores, of which government has to contribute half, that is 27 crores, and they have to contribute half, the Miss World organizers. The government has given 5 crores to us. 5 crores was the initial license fees and this and that, which we have spent. Of the remaining 22 crores, Chief Minister and our Tourism and Culture Minister directions to us is that try to rope in as many sponsors as possible so that the government burden gets minimized, and we are on the job. The commercial deals have to be signed between the organizers and the sponsors legally. So till then we can't disclose the name, but some sponsors have come on board. So my expectation is that at the end of the day, when the finale happens on the 31st, we would have covered all this balance also. See, as it is 20, it's not that 22 crores is some huge amount, given the fact that government has a budget of 2 lakh plus crores to see 22 crores as some enormous kind of expenditure is not true. But this also we are covering up through sponsorship. So eventually the whole burden on government will be possibly just 5 crores.
So with 50, like you said, some 50 crores is being spent on this event. What economic or tourism impacts that government anticipate with this holding this event?
Yeah, so that's what. So I have also spoken to some people, some economists, some finance professionals. So the kind of mileage that we will get after the event is over and during the event also. See, it is like this. I mentioned earlier that the face of Indian tourism in the minds of foreigners is only Taj Mahal and those 4 or 5 other places that I spoke about. If a new location has to be projected at a similar level, the amount of publicity that you will have to do for that and the period of time that it's not a one thing, like just you go to some tourism event and tell that Telangana is great, that is not going to create an impact. So you have to look at the way Kerala promoted itself. Kerala also was nowhere, but I imagine from mid-90s onward, the God's own country and all that campaign, and now after 2 decades, 3 decades, Kerala is reaping the benefits. So it takes such a long time. You have to keep doing small promotions, small publicity. If you calculate how much would you spend on doing that approach of publicity, small events here, meeting some tour operators somewhere, going to some tourism event and putting up a Telangana booth and telling people about Ramappa or Chowmola or Falaknuma or everything else. How much money you would have spent would have been at least 100 times of what we have spent. That too over a period of 20-30 years. So the returns that we are getting by spending 5 crores is at least 50 times, if not more.
So is there any connection between investments and this holding world events?
Yeah, it has very direct connection. So 2 connections I will tell you. So first is, I explained to you a while ago that how investments come to India, and when they come to India, how does a state steal a march over other states? I explained about some points. Now I have noticed this again. This is very important post-COVID. Before COVID, I did not realize that this is such an important factor. But post-COVID, in the last 3-4 years, I'm noticing that this factor is becoming more and more important. And this factor is called employee sentiment. So what it means is that companies are looking at which city their employees will feel more happy to be. Because in COVID and post-COVID, as you know, work from home phenomena started. So companies also know that employees, if they don't like to be at any location, they will just say that I'm leaving and I'll work from home and all. So employee sentiment is very important. So those cities where their employees feel that I'll be happier, my sense of satisfaction will be more, companies also are preferring those cities. Of course, other things are also important. Talent has to be there in that city. Suppose some employee says that I'll be very happy if I'm in Srinagar, I'll be sitting next to Dal Lake and all that. But as you know, there's nature about your life. Companies will not go there. So everything else also has to be there. But employee sentiment is also a very important factor. So, and today, as you know, particularly Hyderabad is attracting lots of tech investments, GCCs. Most of the employees in these kind of companies are very young people. And for a young person, these things matter quite a lot. Is there an entertainment ecosystem in that city? Is tourism good? Cuisine, restaurants, shopping, culture, arts, sports. These things are very important. What is called as work-life balance. I'll work hard, but there has to be something beyond work also to motivate me, to keep me happy. And when people see and when the companies also see that the government itself is doing these kind of things to create that ecosystem, that confidence goes up. So there is a very direct impact on investments. Many companies today, GCCs and all, I have been involved in so many of them over the last 10-12 years, I mean hundreds of them. They have, off late they are telling that we had an office in New York, there are lots of people of Indian origin. Some of the companies actually told us that we took a poll amongst all the people, that which city would you like to go. And in many of the ports, Hyderabad was very, very, very high, and therefore we chose to go there. So that is one. And the second thing is that very recently we came out with a tourism policy. In the tourism policy also, we expect tourism sector investments, more hotels to come. So, for example, we are taking the participants, the Westworld participants, to Ramappa temple, but there is no great facility, etc. in that area. So, we want some investor to go and invest in creating a resort or a hotel. There are lots of wildlife sanctuaries, there are backwaters of Krishna River, Krishna River here in Telangana. Something which people go to Kerala. All of that is here also, but the infrastructure is missing. Similarly, Hyderabad has a large working class population, which is also keen for recreation, amusement, but of an affordable kind. They can't spend thousands of rupees to go to some big resorts and all that. So all these investments have to be done by the private sector. The tourism policy, which has been announced about a month ago, encourages private sector to invest, but private sector will only do their investments if they are guaranteed that there will be footfalls to what they create. Suppose let us say the Taj Group builds a hotel at Ramappa temple, but hardly 5 people go there every day. Then what is the use of? They will never make that investment. But if we promote Telangana tourism in this way, that lots of foreign tourists, domestic tourists. In domestic tourists also, there is something called high value tourists, and the people who spend more. Eventually, our interest is to boost the economy through tourism. So, by seeing that Telangana is hosting these events, 120 participants have gone there, they have had a good time. Some of them have taken pictures and posted on Instagram, some of them have written a blog, some of them have given media interviews and praised that place. Obviously, it will attract lots of curiosity, and World Heritage Site is a great recognition. In fact, there is a large group of people globally whose motto is to visit every World Heritage Site in the globe. They actually maintain a list. I've seen this, I've seen this, I've seen this. And I'm sure many of them would like to go to Ramappa if it is told that yes, there are facilities and good infrastructure. Government will create a good system. So that is how.
Sir, actually, as you said, now we have places like Ramappa Temple, a lot of places for that matter. How do you think it will impact the local people in that particular place?
So this is a proven thing. There's lots of studies, lots of data which shows that tourism sector creates lots of in situ jobs. If you go to, let us say, Kerala or Goa, and you find out who are the people who work in the kitchen, who are the people who work in the restaurant, you find that lots of people are locally employed. So it's a industry which creates lots of local employment, lots of local jobs, and unlike the tech industry, one difference between the tech industry and the hospitality industry is that you don't require, so to get into a tech sector job, you must have some BTech or MSc computers and all those kind of things. Here you don't need any very high qualification. You can be just a school dropout also, but if you have a presentable personality, if you have some basic skills, you can find employment in the hospitality sector. So these are two advantages. First, in situ job. You don't have to migrate, you don't have to go anywhere. The job is right in your backyard or in your neighborhood. Second, you don't have to be a PhD scholar to get into a hospitality sector job. So unfortunately, lots of young people, for various reasons, have not been able to excel in studies. They have not been able to get into advanced education and all that. But tourism sector gives lots of hope and opportunity to them. So this is one important thing, that it creates local level employment, hyper local level employment, without bothering about your education or qualification. And second is that it provides lots of support services. So suppose a resort opens. Now immediately you will find that 4 taxis will go there and park next to it, because people would require taxis to go there. So indirect jobs, indirect services, it gives a very big boost to the local economy, and all at a very hyper local level. So if something comes in Ramappa, I can guarantee to you that at least 500 local jobs will be created just because of one resort or one good quality hotel in Ramappa.
So coming back to startup ecosystem,
We all know that Telangana has recently gained a huge reputation in terms of supporting startups and etc. Of course, policies and frameworks has played huge role in this. So, can you highlight few policies that have contributed to this, and what unique advantages that state offers to budding entrepreneurs to start a startup?
To add to that question, there is in certain quarters they have a criticism or they have a complaint that incentives promised are not being given.
Yeah, so I'll first answer. I mean, these are not directly related questions, but so shall we take this as the last question?
Yes,
Because
yes.
Minister is calling again.
Yes.
So see about the startup thing. This Telangana's engagement with startup world began when Telangana became a new state, and at that point in time in Hyderabad, there were some small number of startups, but Hyderabad was not really on the startup map. Much more was happening in Bangalore. A little bit of that was in NCR. Some bit was happening in Bombay, but Hyderabad was not on the map at all. A little bit was happening in Chennai. So we have over the last 12 years achieved quite a lot. Literally from a zero state, we have been able to bring our city and our state to a very significant level. And policy is one thing. I of course will mention to you that in 2015 we brought out a policy to promote startups and innovation. The policy has gone off well, but as I told you, in India, this is a very common criticism that great policies are written, but nothing happens on the ground. In fact, I go to so many conferences, etc., particularly the international conferences. This is what people say. So, 3-4 things they tell about Indian policy making. One they tell is, and I have been in the bureaucracy, I have seen hundreds of policies. So, one thing is that any policy in India, if you don't write at least 500 pages, it is not considered to be a good policy. The policy book has to be so thick that if you hold it, it will spread. It should sprain your wrist. You can't hold it in one hand. You have to lift it with both the hands. Of course, it is written in very good English, so it reads very nicely, beautiful sentences, nice phrases. It is also printed typically on this glossy paper. So it will also feel very nicely when you are holding it. And if you bring it close to your nose, it will also smell very nice. Printing press smell will be there. So you would like to hold it, feel it, smell it, but nothing happens on the ground. Everything is just in that book. So when we wrote the startup policy, we were very clear, and I wrote it, and I took a call that it should not cross 20 pages. When the Indian norm is to write 500 pages, our book, if you see, just 20 pages. But every sentence of that 20 page is actionable. See, those 500 pages, as I told, how do you write 500 pages? So you write all kinds of general things. We are in Amritkal, it is going to come. So, I mean, our policy book does not speak about any Amritkal, any Amrit. I mean, we don't even know whether Amrit will come or not. But even if it comes, we are not speaking about all those things. So, policy book is very, very actionable. And but as I said, another reason why in India policy does not translate into action. One other reason is that no one takes responsibility for taking action on it. So, in the last 10 years, someone could have told me that you are the principal secretary of the department, you should take responsibility. So, of course, technically that is true. As the principal secretary, I have to take responsibility. But I have to take responsibility for 100 other things also. And even though I may be passionate about startup, entrepreneurship, I can't spend 24/7 of my time only on startup work. I have to do other things as well. So in Telangana, we did 2 other things which are far more important than, I mean, they build on that policy. So first thing which we did was that we created institutions to implement the policy. And many of the institutions, people know about it today. T-Hub is one institution, T-Works is one institution, Task is another institution, V-Hub is another institution. So like that, we have created 10 institutions. And each institution has the responsibility to implement some part of that policy. But between them, everything that we have mentioned in the policy is getting implemented by someone or the other. And the third important thing which we did was, so again, creating institutions is can also be a bureaucratic exercise. You just issue a GO that I created some institution. But in Telangana, one difference is that we realized very, very early that you require a different kind of talent to run these institutions. I mean, I'm not saying that there is no talent in the government. There could be talent in the government, but far better talent is available outside the government to run these institutions. And our job was to bring them to be a part of these institutions. So, these 10 institutions that I spoke about, I can share this with you. Between all of them, there are close to 500 people who have all been taken from the open market based on their merit, based on their talent. And this is a very unique experiment. So even Government of India, they want to recruit people from the private sector. They call it lateral entry, but it never has taken off. It falls flat. Just to recruit 5-7 people also, they face so much of difficulty and controversy. And here for the last 12 years, 500 people are working for the government. And there's no challenge or no problem at all. And it is these people who have delivered on all these policies, expectations, and all these kind of things. So it's a 3 things: policy, institutions, and talent. And that is how our startup ecosystem, from literally nowhere, has reached to a scale where everyone feels proud about it. People come and study this model. People emulate it. Articles are written about the Telangana startup model.
Thank you so much, sir. It has been a very insightful and wonderful discussion. I hope we all enjoyed it.
Oh, very nice. Thank you.
Also, thank you so much.